and everything around generating funds for your business, they're in this house. What else do you need? Come on, let's celebrate ourselves. It's a privilege. All right, having done all of that, I just need to finish what we started last week. I really want to also appreciate the media team, right? Because I went back to the video that you did. I knew it was just about 16 minutes or so, but I'm grateful that you did that because that was amazing for me. I went back to that video and I had myself say, sometimes when you are here, you say some things you can't even remember that you said. So I remember myself saying that some of us need to go back to check our processes and streamline them, some things you are spending money on and all of that. So I went back through my process myself this week, and I realized that there's something we've actually been paying, but because the money is not much, it's part of our process. 2,000 naira, just feel like per transaction that you do 2,000 naira, when you are doing a volume that is that high, 2,000 naira may not be like a big deal. But I sat down and I did the financial analysis. If I'm paying 2,000 naira per transaction because I'm using this software, and then I process about like 20 of that in, say, a week, that would be 20 times 2,000. If I do that for a month, at the end of the year, I'm probably wasting close to 2 million, if not more than that. Why am I stressing myself? And this thing is really not necessary. So why am I wasting 2 million that I could have put in something? I said that to say that there are so many things that have been said in the course of these, since January till now. If you've not been maximizing them, you're missing out a lot. You're missing out a lot. Because that step I took based on what I said is going to save me at least 2 million plus in the course of this year because I went back to my process. Many of us need to go back to some of these things. Audit your process. Audit the things you do, right? It could be as little as not having to transfer 5,000 every single time. It could be as little as that. Some of us just get to POS, you just do, 5,000. Just do 5,000. You say it's 150. It's 5,000. It's part of resourcing your business, and we need to learn these things. We need to learn these things. It could be as little as the data subscription you do. Because indeed, if you take out the productive hours you use online, for most of us, you probably don't need more than 20 gig in a month. But you have 1 terabyte that you paid 100,000 for. You think, let's use it. Netflix, pew. Instagram, pew. Right? And then some of us sometimes, just because you have that data, you're like, what can I use this data to do? If I don't use it, they will burn it. Why did you have to subscribe for that in the first place? 100K is not much. It's a fraction of your salary. But if you put that together, some of us spend some 100 naira, 200 naira, 500 naira, and you are crying for 50K for something you need to do. But your 50K is within some of those 50 naira, 100 naira. You just blow and keep the change. Yeah, Nigeria, we don't give tip here except you want to. All these keep the change things we do, right? It's part of resourcing your business. Because if you go back, audit yourself in Q1. Just take January, February, March. Audit yourself. You'll be surprised some of the things you do. Some of you, if you print out your bank statement for January, February, March, you'll be surprised how much has moved within your bank account. So surprised. Try it. You can generate it on your phone. You don't even have to go to the bank. Just print it out. Just say January 01 till March date and see how much has moved. In case nothing has moved in your account, don't worry, it's a year of ownership. Stuff will still move, right? So we just want to talk about resourcing your business, and it is in some of these things that I've said. Also last week, just because this came so strongly to my mind also, I'll just touch briefly within 1 minute. I think the second to the last point we made last week was competition. And for those of us in the class, competition is who? Who were in the class now? You remember now. Who are your competitors? Everybody now. We said it last week now. It's class, so Sir, should you start writing exams? No, we'll talk in camera. It's everyone. Everybody's your competitor. You know, after the class last week, I was speaking with Piron, and Piron was like, yeah, it has been his legacy statement that everybody or anybody that is doing anything that makes your client pick your money to say, instead of buying bread, let me go and buy spaghetti. That person, even though the person is not selling bread, though, because the person has done a scale of preference and has decided to carry your money to go and do something else, that person inclusive is your competitor. So all those analyses that say direct competition, indirect competition, that was 2020 strategy. We no longer use that. Everybody is your competition right now. Everybody. However, having said that, if everybody is your competition, it means the competition is going to get worse, like they will say. So what do? Above the layer of competition is what we call strategic alignment and alliances, interest. It gets to a point where it is no longer about competition. It's about interest. And because I play within angel investment space, I've seen angel investors who we call pitches, tech pitches, and people will come. Each of them competitions of themselves. But those guys don't mind. It's my own profit I want to make. You people be playing at the level of competition. I will play at the level of interest because there's a level higher than competition. And that is the level we should aim for. Because in the business world, it's going to get to a point where it is no longer about competition. It's about where are you fitting yourself? Where have you identified to stay within the value chain? So you have a biscuit-making factory. It is no longer about who is the competitor for this guy. It is about where am I plugging myself within this place. So you take AWS for example. For AWS, it's no longer about competition. It's about interest. Interest. I'm saying this because I know this is a year of ownership and we'll begin to grow and scale and do some of those things. While I've said everybody is your competition, don't dwell on that realm. Everybody is your competition should gear you to give excellence and put your best into what you do, but aim for the level of alliances and interest, because that is where your money is. At the level of alliances or interest, you are no longer looking at, how do I beat this competitor? You are looking at what are they doing that I can plug into that can make my own processes better. In that way, you've subtly entered. They will download every of their business plan, blah, blah, blah. This is what we aim to do just because of interest. However, that information, you are the one that know how you will use it. Right? There are companies using both OpenAI, ChatGPT, Gemini, everything. Because they don't regard them anymore as competitors. It is interest. So let's get to that point where you scale above competition and you start suspecting everybody, to where you begin to look at how can I benefit from these people. And as kingdom people, that is how we should begin to think. I just wanted to say that so that we don't sit at the level of competition and start suspecting everybody. You need to aim for that level where it is alliances and interest. I also spoke about failure. If you were in class last week, you understand that you are not a failure. You're only failing, if at all. And the Bible gave us a strong word on that. It said that even if a righteous man falls 7 times, if he doesn't give up, he will come back. So you are not a failure. That talk around failure is a myth. It's not true. And I explained to us why. If you call something a pencil, it maintains that stature forever. If it ever changes, that name also has to change. So when you say someone is a failure, you are telling that person you don't have the capacity to change from this state. And that is a lie. Because even if a tree is cut down at the scent of water, it has to bud again. So you are not a failure. You're only failing. I don't care how many things you've tried. And I also gave us the next level to failure or failing. You should move from failing to now beginning to commercialize your failure. And like I told you, there are people in this country that they only call you, have you failed before? Yes. Okay, which area? And then you've given them expo. Before you know it, they will create a course, put an LMS strategy around that, and then they will commercialize your failure, profit from your failure. You are the one that failed, but you don't know, you don't value. Everything is revenue right now in the world that we live in. So don't just say, oh, I failed, and you start crying. The next thing in your mind is, okay, how can I profit from this thing? How can I turn this around? It's part of resourcing your business. So don't waste your failure, right? Don't waste your pain. Take lessons, because you might just be arranging a master class, teaching people 20 ways how not to do it. They wouldn't know you are talking from your experience, right? You get your money from there, you move on. So failure is a myth. It's failing that is possible. All right, let's quickly look at media, if you can help me. So let's go to McKinsey's 7S framework. This slide is available for as many people as if you will be able to interpret what is there, right? I don't know, can we go? So the first thing on that is strategy. No, this is the old one. My slide. Okay. Yeah. No, not this. 7S, McKinsey 7S framework. So the first one is strategy. And when you talk about strategy, you're talking about your vision. These are the things you need to note if you want to scale your business. You need to look at your vision, your mission. And these 7 S's are very important for any business that will become a global brand and that will begin to play in that league. Very, very important. And so I'm going to take a bit of time here just to let you, if you're a business or business person here, even if you are the only one within that space, even if you are your only employee, begin to put this framework in place. Because when you are going to create your pitch, these are some of the things that will act and serve as data that you feed into your pitch. You don't go anywhere to ask them for their money when they don't know your vision, they don't understand your mission. Even you don't know what you are doing. Let's just do this business. You know, there are some people that will not invest if your goal is profit. If all you are doing is, in the next 5 years, you are going to make about 200% profit, they won't invest in you. Because your vision, your mission, your strategy dictates who you pitch to, how you pitch, how you even seek for funding. It's very important. It's a big deal. When you talk strategy in the business world, it's a big deal. Businesses shut down to work on strategies. It's as serious as that. So you can't live without strategy. Let's shall be doing the business. I watch TikTok. They say this is what is moving. Oh, this is the now new content. Those people that are creating the narrative are doing it from a place of strategy. They didn't just wake up like you woke up and say, this is my next content. Some people come, they want to do brand something, and you're saying, okay, we need to curate content calendar, map out this. And they're like, that's waste of time. I don't need the content. Me, I'm spontaneous. Okay, you can't be spontaneous in the business world. We need to plan this thing. Like I told you, if you are not seated at the table, my friend, you are the menu. You don't just know. Don't just know. And strategy is so potent. However, the next level to that is your culture. So please, strategy is important. You talk your vision, your mission, your direction, what do you plan to do, and all of that. Then we talk structure. When you have a mission, you have a vision, you have your direction, then we talk structure, because structure is also important. You don't start building structure when that structure is needed. That structure will take feeding out of your strategy. So you look at banks today. You see their vision, their mission, their direction. That is why banks also need to sometimes employ the toll structure in the organization, because there has to be checks and balances. So your vision, mission needs to feed into your structure. And these are things that you sit down, you probably speak to experts. You can't just wake up and say, yeah, God, what are you saying? Sometimes God will just tell you, I've said everything. I've said everything. The experts that are saying things, go and meet them. These are serious conversations. You wonder why fintechs, even though they play within banking and all of that, they don't do the bank toll structure. It's because of their strategy. They've looked at the banking sector. Some of them came out of there, and then they saw that the reason why it takes time to scale within the bank is because of the structure. But they don't have that time to be planning for 5 years, something they want to do. So what did they do? They broke down the toll structure into flat structure. And some of them employ the matrix structure. I'm saying some of these things so that you go and talk to experts. You won't get everything here. It's just a master class. If you are thinking what's tall, what's flat, which one is matrix again? Well, if you can read it up yourself. But these are not things you just wake up and say, Holy Spirit, yes, speak to me now. Yeah, he will speak. But we speak at the level of your understanding, right? If that is okay for you at that. But there's no way you will scale. I used to say it, if you want to make money, you've got to be ready to spend money. It is money that calls for money, just as deep calls onto deep. It's just the way it is. There's a level you will get to with free courses, but I'm telling you, there are some dimensions you can't enter into. If free courses are the things you do online, just take it. It's just the way it is. And I've said there's sparks. I didn't say come and talk to me. Because when it gets to that level of skill, you don't just need an HR advisor. You depending on what you want to do. But I'm telling you that your strategy will fit into your structure. Then your structure will create your systems. If it is a tall structure, it defines the system. It defines the title you give to people. Schools, most of our institutions, higher institutions, also follow the tall structure. You carry paper around, DSA has to sign, students council chairman sign, all those kind of tall structure. And that's why it's difficult for them to scale. That's why it's difficult for the schooling system to scale. So if you are smart as a business person and you're an entrepreneur within the educational space, your next level of thinking should be, if this happened to bank and we're having fintech, there's edutech now. There's a next level to it. Because scaling needs to be made very quick. It's an agile structure we are running right now. The world is VUCA. Very volatile. Unpredictable. So you need to be thinking next level even when you are where you are. And that's why you need to work on this framework. There are things you need to put in place. So you are within the fashion space. Thank God. In fact, you are using tech. Nice one. But all of this tech we are claiming for, including DeepSeek, we are calling. If you saw how people moved from OpenAI, ChatGPT, then they said Gemini. Then people were thinking to take about predictions, they say maybe 3-5 years before something bigger than that. While they were working on ChatGPT, the people working on this guy were just waiting. Just finish your stack. We'll pick it, tweak it. And that's why it's not possible they would defend that they didn't use anything from ChatGPT to build that. They can't defend it. They can't. Because scale needs to happen at the speed of thought. Scale. I'm telling you, there are businesses right now, they are just waiting. All of this tech we are talking about, give it a shelf life of 5 years. By 2030, for all of us that will be alive in good health, you will begin to see things. So some of those movies we watched that time, you saw flying car. Please, strategy, structure, system. Then we come to shared values. Your system will create shared values, right? Your system will determine if you will call everybody at your workplace family, or if you tell them there's no family here. So for those who say there's no family at work, it depends on the system you work with. If you go to some places, you will love them more than you love your family members. I can guarantee you the truth. I can guarantee you that. It's just dependent on the system. So you see how these things feed into one another, right? Your system will also determine if you are going to call somebody by their first name, or if you are going to call them Mr. So-so-so, or you have to put prof, because it wasn't easy for him to get that prof. And if you don't put it, it's insubordination. It's your system that crafts your shared values. These things are linked, right? You went to study abroad. You came back and said, I can't call anybody. I'm Mr. I studied from Stanford. And you're a lecturer too. Ajayi Crowder. You won't call someone by prof. I pity you. That prof will be very loud. Very, very loud. Because the system determines the shared value. Then your shared value will speak to your skills, whether you prioritize technical skill above soft skill. These things feed into one another. Your skills will speak to your staffing. There are some organizations that can employ you at the level where you are without much. You don't need much skill, don't worry. We'll just employ you. We'll train you on the job. There are companies like that. It is your skill that will speak to your staffing. If you prioritize technical skill, you cannot be saying, let's employ him, we will train him. We don't have time for training here. We don't have time for that. But there are some companies that don't mind. They'll get you in. Is he of good character? Bring him in. That's all we need. That's all we need. I've seen HR people that will say, I prioritize character above competence. And they are not wrong in any way. The only thing that has happened is the company has empowered them to be able to take that. You can't go to Cadbury and you want to recruit someone for, let's even leave Cadbury, maybe medicine, and say he has character, that's all we need, and he's in charge of oxygen. No. So your skill will speak to your staffing. And then finally, your staff will craft the style, craft your structure. All of these things feed into one another. It's a master class, so you really can't get everything from here. All right, let's, I will do this last. Sorry. Let me quickly touch on some other things. So let's go to, I've spoken to business structure, but let me speak to this in 1 minute, identifying business structure. So I'll come back to this next, I'll come back to that slide last. I'll speak on it last. Identifying business structure. So you have functional structure, you have divisional structure, you have a lot of them. I just put this for there, but you have different structure. And if you look at Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, you will see even the scriptural connotation for that there. All of these things are scriptural. Most of these things you see us talk about, you even gather out of scripture. So when you talk of functional structure, you're talking of you group your employees based on their specialization. Function is the word. Function. And so you see something like HR department and all of these is just function, right? But then you also see divisional structure where you have branches. This branch, this group of people. So you pick somebody from HR, pick another person from this place, and then they create a division. That could also be your structure, depending on what you want to work on, right? You have the matrix structure that combines both the functional and the divisional. So some of you are confused. Why do I have 2 orgas that I'm reporting to? It's just because of your structure. They are not wrong. Don't say these people, they don't know how to do anything in this company. They know how to do it. It's their structure. Just leave it. So, as HR, you are reporting to your head of HR, but then they move you from that department, took you to Abakaliki, and then you have to report to the managing director of that place. They're like, this work is even stressing me. Or go and understand the structure where you're applying to. If they call you for interview, those are some of the things you need to look for. Because some of you will report to 5 orgas, and they are not wrong. It's just the structure. It's called the matrix structure. And then you have the IB structure where you can play around depending, just for skill, right? You can play around. Some people are like, at a point I was reporting to 6 persons, but I made sure so I understand. It's just the structure. All right, let's look at the next one. Let's look at the next one because I need just about 5 minutes to dwell on the other one. Determining the resource mix. So you have something we call mode, and you have another thing we call model. They are not the same thing. Sometimes look alike. People confuse them, and this also speaks to your resourcing. Depend on the kind of organization you're looking at building. We are saying all of this because after this stretch, I think from January to June that we are taking to do all of this, we believe that after now you come out from these master classes as masters, right? That is the plan. So don't waste some of these things. People pay good dollars to go and hear some of these things. People pay more dollars to get people to implement them for them. So depending on the level that you play at, you can pick your choice. So mode speaks to full-time, part-time. It's just the mode, right? And for those of you also looking, probably currently job searching, these are some of the things that should form some of the questions. Even if you don't have questions, if all you ask, so I want to understand, what's your mode, what's your model? And then you first confuse the HR, because some HR don't even know the difference between mode and model. Model. What do you mean? Can you break that down for us? You're already teaching them. That could even be the reason why they will employ. Because you, and you know when you know small thing and you're able to shakara with it, that guy is very confident. That's what HR will say. They don't know that's the only thing you probably know, but who needs to know? Just keep learning, right? So model, you speak to full-time, part-time, on-site, remote. All of those are just mode of work. But you also have model. And this is going to be a big deal in the next 5 years. It's just a strategy that will work in the next 5 years. After 5 years, by 2030, the whole playbook is being changed. So you're going to have another playbook in the space of work from, say, 2030 for another 50 years. For another 20 years, maybe 2030 to 2050 or something like that. So maximize this playbook we are using. This is just 5 years playbook. We have 5-year runway, like I said last week, to consolidate some things. SDG goals, all those people, you hear them 2030, like the world will end in 2030. They're already in the drawing room, already drafting what your dress will look like, what your fashion will look like, what your music will look like. So by 2030, you start seeing some things and be like, what's happening? Is the world about to end? It's not ending. They're just changing the playbook. We are human beings. We don't like to be predictable. So some people are already crafting those things. And like I said, if you are not at the table, you're on the menu. So you look at freelance, contract, temporary work, internship. Those are just models, you know. The gig economy is a very big economy now. Very massive economy. A lot of people coming within that space. Telecommuting, mobile, co-working, job sharing. Some people do job sharing, even in Nigeria now. They employ 2 persons to do the same job. This person does it for 5 hours. Another person does 5 hours. Manufacturing industry have been doing that for a long time. Job sharing, you know, shift and all of that. Compressed work time. Some organizations also do compressed work time now, to the point that, I'm sick on Tuesday, I'm sick on Monday, no problem, be sick. When you get ready, you are supposed to do 40 hours, but your 40 hours will compress it. So if you were to do 40 hours in a week and you were sick for 2 days, no problem. The next 3 days, we'll compress all of the 40 hours inside 3 days. For you will do this work, and they are successfully doing it. It's called compressed work hour. So please understand the kind of place you work from and understand what works within that space. All right, how do you motivate your workforce? This is just an additional stuff I'm adding. Competitive compensation, recognition and rewards, professional development. Some people say there's nothing like work-life balance. I don't care what you call it. Shall make sure that the work and the life of your staff members are balanced. That's all I have to say. I won't get into that competition or conversation and say there's no work-life balance. How can life and work be balanced? What were they doing before they got work? The cocoa is the work and the life of your staff. Let it be balanced. Some people say it's integration. We need to get them integrated into work, whichever one. You shall get the gist. Let them be integrated. Let it be balanced. Don't call people at 5 a.m. except it has been written in their job description that you will work from 5 till 5. You shall let them be balanced. And if you will do that, by the time they now tell you, please, I need 1 hour to quickly do something, please, be flexible, right? I don't know. It looks like this part I'm talking to HR, so let me stop talking because I have a lot of guys in this business. Because they go and report me and revoke my license. That one small guy was abusing us in church. But then let it be balanced. And I'm saying that not because people here will report me. Because people will watch this thing. You never can tell where some of these things will get to. And before you know it, somebody will craft this part and say, this is the only part he talked about when he was teaching us. Leading a winning team, communicate. Very important. Communication is key. Communication is key. And when you communicate, also learn to give feedback. Because communication is a two-way conversation. That's what many of us don't know. Something happens in your company, something happens to your subordinate. I've told you, that's not to do it. Blah, blah, blah. Well, I've said my own. You've not communicated. It needs to be two-way. You say your own, let me say my own. Let's come to a mutual understanding. It's not a big deal. That's communication. So when you speak, give room for feedback. Until you've done that, communication has not happened. Communication has not happened. So please, when you communicate, feedback is very important. When you collaborate, support is important. If you are in any collaboration that is not backed by the right support, you are not collaborating, you are slaving. And that's what a lot of job people working need to know. That's also what a lot of CEOs need to understand. If you are the only one just pushing, you are paying salary, revenue is not coming in, sales is not meeting target, everything is good. You are not collaborating, you are slaving. And sometimes just the same way CEOs and all of those guys can slave and take for granted the investment of workers. Workers also do it to business. I've seen it a lot of times. So if collaboration is not backed by support, please, if you can fire, fire. If you can't fire, hire us. Let's fire for you. Man, don't leave me. But then it's a workplace. I know loyalty is key, and we talk of loyalty. But business is business. That's why sometimes the argument that work is not your family can be valid. Because there's no workplace that guarantees you loyalty. Loyalty means even if you mess up and all of that, they still stay loyal to you. Even if you get to the point when they need to tell you to go, you just say, keep her, we love her. There's no work that guarantees you that, not even government work. So loyalty, put your loyalty in Jesus. Put it in God. Be loyal to him. But be honest and be full of integrity. That is what you owe every business. So. Some of you, if I leave that place of work, it will move forward. I'm the backbone. Your spinal cord will soon break. I can guarantee you that. If you are the backbone of that business, it will soon break. You will soon be spineless. Please, if collaboration is not backed by support, pull out, please. Pull out. Stop slaving. Rev, we said that we are meant to thrive and not meant for toiling. PK will say it also. Life is meant to be lived, thriving, not toiling. Lead. But if leadership is not led in a way that leads people to adapt, then you are not leading. You don't have followers. If you don't have people looking like you, if you don't have people looking up to you, you are not leading. You are just coasting around. You want to lead a winning team, then lead from a place where you are flexible. If you're a leader in this house, please be flexible. You can't understand what people are going through. No matter how much you try, you can't. You can't. I've seen people who give excuses like every week, and their excuses are legitimate. Like, legitimate. But because you are bound by policy, you just can't do some things. You can't understand what people are going through. So please lead from a place of flexibility. Very important. If you want to lead a winning team, you say fintech, they are growing, they are booming and all of that. Some of the things some people do in some fintech, they can't go to banks and do it. What's the difference? Flexibility. Flexibility. I have a lot of guys at InterSwitch. Many of us want to get into the place. Why do you think we want to go to InterSwitch? It's flexibility. If you say, my place where I'm working will not allow me to do this, Shebi is to work. What place do you need to be to do the work we've given you to do? Flexibility. They are ready to give you the support you need and some other things just so that you deliver on your work. Flexibility. Why do you think some banks are losing people? They are not flexible. As it was, so shall it be forever. I'm sorry for them. You will lose some banks in another 5 years. It's not prophecy. Their structure has already declared that they are going to go into extinction just by looking at what they are doing. then empower. And how do you empower people? You delegate. So if they are telling you, we've empowered you, and they are not allowing you to do the job they say they've empowered you to do, or run for your life. They've not empowered you. Empowerment is backed by delegation. Backed by delegation. All right. My time is up. I know it's been an amazing time today. Sometimes when you come here, TWT will tell us, you don't even know what to say. But then you come here and it looks like you can't stop. It means there's a grace for this thing. Once again, I want to celebrate. I appreciate everyone for coming into the class. It's been amazing. We don't take it for granted. I don't take it for granted. Thank you so much for allowing me to serve you in this capacity. You've allowed me to express stewardship in the mode of stewardship, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Like I ended yesterday, Imigo Okere. So thank you for listening to this great guy. Right? I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. If you have questions, we can take that later, but that will not be for today. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Have a great service, everyone.